Hey Carla, it's me again. And what we're doing today is we're making good old-fashioned fire cider. This is basically it's a health tonic that's used for treating colds and flus, things like that. It's been used for years and years and years and years and years. A lot of people use this. There's a lot of different variations on this you can use. I'm just going to show you how we're going to do this today. So we'll go ahead and get started making it, and then I'll show you how to finish it off at the end. So the ingredients we're going to use for my particular variation on fire cider, first thing that's most commonly used is fresh horseradish. And that's pretty much what it's like. That's horseradish root. We're going to peel this and then chop it up. And that's probably the most time-consuming thing, is getting the peeling off of this, because it's a pain in the butt. Also, turmeric. I happened to find some fresh turmeric yesterday at Publix, of all places. So we're going to use that. First batch I made, I couldn't find fresh turmeric. If you can't find the fresh turmeric, you can use ground turmeric. It'll be just fine, no problem. So that's what I used on the first batch. The second batch, I got lucky and found that. Okay, we're going to need lots of garlic. Like a head of garlic per quart jar. Need an onion, normally like an onion per jar. This is a huge onion, so I'm going to use half of it in each quart. We're going to need some fresh ginger that we're going to peel and chop up. Some nice jalapenos. Some lemon. And raw, fresh, organic apple cider that includes the mother. You're going to need a lot of this. Some people will also add some cayenne to theirs, maybe about a quarter teaspoon per quart. That's up to you as to whether or not you want to use the cayenne. Some people will also use some herbs, like either some thyme or some rosemary. I don't like rosemary, so I'm not putting that in there. I don't have any fresh thyme, so it's not going in there. But there's a variety of different things you can use, and we'll go through these and we'll talk about them as we go through. So first thing we're going to start with is going to be getting this horseradish under control. The first thing you do is basically cut the ends off here. This stuff is really tough to cut. You're going to need a very sharp, large knife for this, and be careful because you don't want to cut off something you might need later, like a finger or something. Like I said, the horseradish is the hardest thing to get through. So we can get into this. There we go. Okay. And then cut this other end off. Alright. Then we want to peel the outer coating off. Let's try a vegetable peeler and see if this works. Might work some. I might have to use a knife to get some of this. Yeah, I'm making a mess all over my counter, but we're used to that, so. Let's try a knife on some of this. Yeah, I think the knife's going to work better. So anyway, go through. Remove that tough outer section. Once you do that, it's a lot easier to cut. Once you get to the inside of it, it's much, much easier to cut. Just that outer skin or whatever of the horseradish is brutal. So I'm going to finish peeling that, and then we'll cut it up, and we'll start putting stuff in jars. Alright, so I got the horseradish pretty much peeled. It's okay if there's a little bit left on there. All this stuff's going to get strained out after a month anyway. What I want to do now is cut it up into small pieces. Some people will grate it and put it in here. I don't have time for that. So I'm just going to cut it into rounds and then cut those into smaller pieces, and then those are going to go into the quart jars. So cut them in chunks like that. Like such. And we're going to divide all this up between the 2 quart jars. So I'll keep doing that, and then we'll move on to our next item. Alright, so I've got the horseradish cut up. It's in the jars, equally divided between the jars. Next we're going to move on to the turmeric. I just kind of trimmed off the ends of this. I'm not even going to try to peel this stuff. That would take forever. I'm just going to cut it up very, very finely. It'll work perfectly. I'm going to divide that up. By the way, the horseradish is really good at fighting bacterial and fungal infections. And it helps improve breathing. And trust me, all you got to do is take a sniff of that jar. It will open up your head very quickly. So the turmeric can help with heart disease. It's a fantastic anti-inflammatory. It's also a really good antioxidant. So that's why I'm putting this in here. Also, this stuff will stain. Where I was cutting the ends off of it, you can see that. It's already turning the knife yellow. So just beware of that. Don't wear something white when you're doing this, because you don't want to stain your clothing. So we're just going to cut these up into small little pieces. And then they're going to get divided up into the jars again, just like everything else. The ginger that we're going to put in is a good antibacterial and antiviral plant. And then garlic, of course, is will boost your immune system. It's also antibacterial, helps with cold and flu, helps lower cholesterol, antioxidants. So that's why the garlic is going in there. Onions, same family as the garlic, same thing. Lemon, we're putting in there. Of course, has the vitamin C. Vitamin C, by the way, helps your body absorb iron. So that's another benefit of using the lemon in there. And then the peppers, of course, get your circulatory system going. Help warm your body, and they contain endorphins, so they make you happy. I mean, that's why people get addicted to hot sauce. It makes them feel good. Alright, so we're going to continue on, get that in there, then we'll move on to our next item. Alright, turmeric's in the jars now. Moving on to the ginger. I have peeled the ginger, and we're just going to slice it up and divide that into the jars. Some people grate the ginger. I'm not going to do that. Ginger can be a bit overpowering. It can overpower everything else, and don't want that to happen, so I'm just going to slice it and put those in there, and that'll be fine. The origins of fire cider, or something like it, actually go back to the Middle Ages. There was a concoction that was known as the Four Thieves vinegar, and the story is there were these 4 guys back in medieval Europe during the time of the plague, and they were called the thieves because they were apparently grave robbers. And you know, people were dying of the plague left and right here, these guys were robbing graves, but they never seemed to get the plague. And they said it was because they would drink this concoction that was mostly garlic, lots of garlic, and maybe some other stuff mixed in with vinegar. And so that's how Four Thieves vinegar came into being. And basically fire cider is sort of a descendant of that, a variation of that. Now, how true that story is, we don't know, but that's a story that's been handed down for a very, very, very long time. There is no set recipe for fire cider, because some people put different stuff. Some people don't put turmeric in there, some do. Some people will put some herbs in there, some don't. So there's not a definite recipe for it. And that's why I'm not going to list a recipe below the video for this, because it can vary depending on what you want to put in it. And if you're on YouTube and just go to the search bar, the search button up top, type in fire cider, you will find a slew of videos on making fire cider, and everybody has their own variation on it. But they all seem to have horseradish, and they all seem to have garlic. Those are two things that are pretty consistent, and ginger. Those three things are pretty consistent across the board. Other stuff can vary. Quantities can vary. So there's that. Alright, so slice this up. After we do that, we're going to do the garlic. Lots and lots of garlic. You notice the dog is not over here helping me. I don't think she is into this. I don't think she likes the smells of this at all. Probably the horseradish. Joseph's not going to drink this stuff. I can tell you that right now. When I was making my first batch, I popped open the lid and let him smell it, and he about freaked out. He does not do spicy stuff. He does not like vinegary stuff. He does not like pickles. He does not like anything of that nature. So I don't have to worry about that. Alright. Garlic's next. Again, we're just gonna, and again, this is basically about 1 full head of garlic per quart jar. I'm gonna split that in half. It looks fairly even. Chop these up, put them in there, then we'll move on. By the way, when you do this, and you add your vinegar, if your garlic turns blue or green, like after a couple of days, don't freak out. There's nothing wrong with your garlic. That is a natural chemical reaction between the vinegar and chemicals that are in the garlic. Your garlic's fine. So I just want to let you know that if you wind up with blue or green garlic, it's okay. Alright, move on to our next step. Alright, got half my onion done in that jar. Gonna do the next one, then we'll do the jalapenos and then the lemons. Again, 1 onion per quart jar, because this onion is so huge. I'm just doing half an onion because 1/2 of this onion is like the equivalent of a regular size onion. This also is one occasion where you do not want to use a vidalia onion. You want a regular white or yellow onion, because you want a hot onion. That's an absolute must. So And I'm just coarsely chopping this to go in the jar. That'll work. Kind of pack it down because we got to make room for other stuff to go in here. All right. Next up, jalapeno, 1 per jar, seeds and all. Cut the top off of that. And I'm just going to slice it in half. Gotta remember to wash my hands after this. Pack everything down tightly. All that's left to go after this is going to be the lemon. I'm using lemons. Some people use oranges. I happen to prefer lemons. So that's what I'm going to use. And I'm just going to cut them into slices. I'm going to wedge them down there. Let's see how much of that I can fit in here. That's a big one. I might need to slice that in half so it doesn't get stuck in there later. Okay. think we're done with the cutting. Next thing you need to do is wipe down these edges a little bit. Alright, and it's time for vinegar. So again, raw, unfiltered apple cider vinegar with the mother. And we're just going to fill the jars all the way to the top. Grab chopstick here and see if I can get down the edge. Make sure we get air bubbles out. Need a little bit more vinegar. Fortunately, I have some. and try to get the air bubbles out. And you want to use either a wood or plastic, something to go down in here. You don't want to use like a metal knife in here to do that. It's probably good. Okay. Now, mark these down again. Before we put the lids on them, clean my mess here a little bit. The vinegar in here will react with the metal in the lid. So what you need to do is you need to get basically a piece of like saran wrap, cling film, whatever, put over here, then put the lid on. That way the vinegar doesn't come in contact with the lid. So let's do that real quick. Just a little piece over the top like that. Scissors. And one for that one. Then you put the lid on. Put the lid on that before I spill it. Alright, and there we go. So what you're going to do is each day you want to give these a really good shake. You want to store these in like a cool, dry place. But every day when you walk by, just give it a good shake. Like that. Put it back and let it sit. It's going to sit for about a month. And then after a month, we're going to strain it and get it ready for actual use. So set that over here. Be back in just a moment and show you what we do after a month. Okay, it's been 1 full month since I made this stuff, and so now we need to strain it. Hello, dog. And then we'll add the honey to it to finish it off. So funnel in here. Open this up. Strainer. We'll see how big of a mess I can make with this. All right, there's one. And we'll do the second one. Take these lemons off the top, make it a little easier for me. Alright. Now we need to add the honey to it. And we're using raw, unfiltered, organic honey. That'll add a little sweetness to it, take some of the bite out of it. Depends on how sweet you want it. We'll do that. Use my toaster tongs and stir this up really good. And I got to give this a little taste. Not bad, actually. Really taste the garlic in that. But anyway, cold and flu season's coming. Keep this on hand. Store it in the refrigerator. And if you feel a cold or flu coming on, maybe a tablespoon or two in the morning, tablespoon or two in the afternoon, or in the evening. And this is supposed to help with some of the symptoms and things like that associated with cold and flu. So that's it for the fire cider. I'm going to go start packing for vacation. We're going to the mountains. Looking forward to that. And when I get back, I'll try and find something else I can cook for you. So anyway, hope you enjoy this. And I will see you next time.